Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy June. It's hard to believe it's already June. Thank you so much for joining for this month's community meeting. This is our quarterly partner update meeting where we get to hear all of the wonderful updates from partners, celebrate successes, identify opportunities to collaborate and ways to get involved. I'm Michelle Stewart, Executive Director of Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, and it's just such a pleasure to have these conversations with you each month. So thank you for joining. For those that are new to the meeting, YVSC was established as a nonprofit in 2009, which makes us our 16th year in operation, and we are guided by the mission to serve as a leader, resource, and catalyst for building a sustainable and resilient Yampa Valley region. These monthly community meetings are designed to convene community partners and members so that we can connect with one another, identify common goals and challenges, and find ways to collaborate to create more impactful and farther-reaching programs and practices in our community. Before we get going into our round of updates from YVSC and then in turn our partner updates, I just want to remind people that the chat is there to share resources. And then do please keep your microphones on mute when you're not talking, and we will have time at the end for public comment beyond anyone who has planned comments to share. So it's my pleasure to kick us off on our updates. So we at YVSC are now in our third month here in our new location at 602 Oak, and we are delighted to have the opportunity to establish our permanent headquarters downtown nearby so many important partners. Our door is always open unless it's mysteriously locked due to the mechanics. Just give a knock, but between 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So we really invite everyone, please come in, see the space, say hello, and we're just so excited to be where we are. A bit about the building. It's a 1907 carriage house in Steamboat, which is pretty exciting. And we continue to hear all of these wonderful storied historical uses. We recently learned that it was also Steamboat's first bookstore in the 60s, known as the Brown's Bookstore. So if you have stories, please do share them. And it's just so wonderful to be part of the heritage of downtown Steamboat. With support from Paul Brinkman, who many of you might know, who does philanthropic project management in the region. We are in the process as well of planning an addition to the historic building, aiming to bridge 120 years of building science between preservation of the historic building and the construction of a lead by example new addition that strives for net zero. Like the Community Foundation building, we are looking at shallow loop geothermal, on-site solar, energy efficiency, water conserving landscaping, and much, much more. To be sure we're modeling our mission and sharing what we learn, we at YVSC will be tracking and making public our decision tree as we go along through our planning and permitting process. With our proximity to Routt County building and the building where people go in and pull their permits, we really want our building to have systems that are opportunities to showcase how people can go about building in the new environment where we really take seriously energy and water conservation and landscaping and all things at the beginning. So our vision for the building includes an educational foyer, a place where we can have rotating exhibits that help model and educate the public and partners about key issues such as geothermal energy, a collab space for strategic partners and fellows to use, a place for people to come together and work, not necessarily long-term rentals, but a place for people to share space, a community meeting and training room, and then also office space for our staff and interns. We see the establishment of the center as increasing our ability to serve our partners and our community, and we look forward to continuing to share information about the project as we go along. I have a few exciting updates about staffing changes as well. First, joining us today from the depot, you can see Caitlin Farkas, who is YVSC's new Waste Diversion Coordinator. Caitlin first joined YVSC as an intern in 2024 and worked with Paul Boney and Connor Burns on a project that created an electric vehicle transition plan for Steamboat Ski Corps and Resort. Her project involved assessing the resort's current fleet inventory and identifying key areas for electric vehicle integration, alongside conducting community engagement to involve both resort employees and community members in EV outreach. As an intern, Caitlin proved herself to be a self-starting and productive team member, and she rose to the top of our national search process for our previously vacant waste diversion coordinator role. Caitlin grew up outside of Philadelphia and obtained her BS in environmental science from the University of Vermont. After graduation, she moved to Steamboat to pursue her love of skiing, and her one-season plan turned into a professional trajectory here at YVSC, where she's going to help our region reduce waste and increase recycling and composting. We're delighted to have her join us, and she'll be sharing some updates in a few moments, so you'll get to hear her live from the depot. Second update is YVSC has also concluded our national search for our energy and transportation project manager role, a previously vacant role after Connor Burns left YVSC to pursue a for-profit heat pump company, installing company. And we are delighted to welcome Leo Tad Lane, who goes by Tad, to our team next month. Tad holds a BS in environmental science and over 8 years of experience in project management and has been working at Into the West and Steamboat. Tad joins YVSC with a deep commitment to climate solutions, regional energy transition, and advancing energy efficiency technologies. Tad recently obtained his NABCEP photovoltaic associate training and will be working closely with Paul Boney, our Energy and Transportation Director, supporting on-the-ground energy assessments, beneficial electrification, education and outreach, EV infrastructure, EV ride and drives, public education, and much more. He joins us on July 23rd, so I hope you have a chance to meet him. Third, YVSC also just concluded our search for our first ever policy director, and we are pleased to share the news that Matthew Kirker will be joining YVSC in a part-time capacity to start, beginning July 7th. Many of you might know Matt from his prior role as Western Regional Director for Senator Bennett, a role he filled from 2019 to 2025, where he worked closely with Senator Bennett throughout Western Colorado, leading policy development and engagement with local and state elected officials and stakeholder groups in the agricultural, water, forestry, public lands, energy, and economic development spaces. Matt and Senator Bennett played a central role in driving more than $40 million in federal government funding to local governments, nonprofit organizations, and private businesses in Routt and Moffat County. Matt has been living in Steamboat with his family since 2018, and we at YVSC are simply delighted to have Matt joining our team and bringing his expertise and experience directly into the service of our region. Next month, we will host Matt as our featured speaker for our community meeting, so I hope you'll join us on our July 16th community meeting and join us in welcoming Matt to his new role and his forthcoming collaborations with all of you. And last, and then we'll move into staff updates. Sorry, I'm trying to clip along. Last, YVSC is pleased to be partnering with the Colorado Energy Office as a regional coordinator for their local implementation, mitigation, and policy action accelerator grant program, which you might hear as the Impact Accelerator Grant Program, which is an exciting $50 million grant fund that aims to support local governments with policy adoption to bolster local resilience, reduce emissions, and advance other state priorities, such as improving air quality. Funding from this program comes from the US EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program, which many of you know. Many of us in the region were watching really carefully to see if this funding was going to unlock, and indeed it has. So it's a really exciting regional opportunity. The Energy Office in July 2024 secured $129 million of the pollution reduction grant funding to support statewide emissions reductions projects and policy implementation. So it's very exciting. The Impact Accelerator program is designed to maximize emissions reductions by promoting policies that extend beyond state requirements in 4 categories: buildings, land use, transportation, and waste. Applicants can be either governments or tribal governments, and they can apply for funding to support policy adoption only or policy adoption and project implementation. Grants will be approximately $200,000 per award for policy adoption and $1.8 million per award for implementation. And there's only a 5% match requirement for this exciting grant opportunity. And in some communities and tribal governments, that match is actually removed. So in an effort to reach all parts of the state, the Colorado Energy Office has established partnerships with regional coordinators like YVSC, who will be points of contact for the different reaches of the state. YVSC will be serving as regional coordinator for Routt, Moffat, Jackson, and Grand counties, and our aim is to work with regional governments to help them identify policies and projects that channel this important funding into work on the ground that benefits the region and climate. To any government partners on the call, please reach out to Ashley Dean with questions, and we're really excited to be partnering with the state to get this really monumental funding out into our part of the state. So at this time, it is my sincere pleasure to turn the floor over to our YVSC staff for program updates, starting first with Jayla Poppleton, Resilient Water and Watersheds Director.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you today. Thanks for joining us. I guess just as an overarching theme for my update, field season is officially underway for YVSC. And so you'll hear a lot about our activities in the field from the Resilient Land and Water team on this front. And in fact, I'll be doing updates on behalf of our Natural Climate Solutions project manager, Ryan Messinger, who is out setting up irrigation at some of our previously planted Yampa River Forest Restoration Project sites along the Yampa today, and wasn't able to join us. So speaking of the Yampa River Forest Restoration Project, I'll share an update there. We've been implementing that project since 2019. And this year we plan to plant somewhere around 700 trees at 5 different sites along approximately 1,400 feet of riverbank in late summer and early fall. So that will primarily be taking place at Chuck Lewis State Wildlife Area, but also an additional privately owned site that we're still working with the landowner to confirm details for. And we'll be hosting our annual retree planting events as part of this to engage volunteers in participating sometime between end of September to mid-October. And we'll announce those dates as soon as they've been determined. So we'd love to have any of you join us if you're interested. And additionally, Ryan has been out at California Park preparing for this year's Wet Meadows Restoration Project work. And fortunately, after a period of uncertainty, we received the go-ahead from our U.S. Forest Service partners, who remain very supportive of that work. That project launched in 2022, and it's now in its 4th year. And beginning in mid-July, Ryan will be out working with the Rocky Mountain Youth Corps teams that we've contracted to assist this year, placing rock structures known as Z-dike structures to restore that high value wet meadow ecosystem on the forest. You can join the Yampa Valley Climate Crew if you're interested in participating, and those dates are already established on August 9th and 10th. And you can find more information on our website and also sign up to join if you're interested. And then just 2 more quick updates from me, and these both involve our partner, Friends of the Yampa, who's also on the line today. I see Emily here, so I'm sure you'll hear more from her. But YVSC and Friends of the Yampa successfully collaborated on a number of grants this year to help fund work that's adjacent to and connected to the Yampa Valley Beaver Working Group. And so that's a collection of nonprofits and government agencies working together to keep more beavers on the landscape through education and also conflict mitigation that promotes coexistence. The resulting benefits include increased drought resistance, fire breaks, post-fire sediment capture, wildlife habitat, and more. So if you or someone that you know is dealing with nuisance beavers and is curious about installing beaver mitigation devices, that's another thing to reach out to Ryan for. And Ryan's email, I can pop that into the chat, is just ryan@yvsc.org. And he and Emily and their team can come take a look. And then lastly, the Yampa River Stewardship Program, known in short as YSTEW, is something that YVSC has been participating in and supporting as a member of the Yampa River Collaborative. This is a program, an initiative of the collaborative that's led by Friends of the Yampa to provide support, resources, and training to landowners, land managers, and practitioners to better steward the Yampa River. It's an outcome of the Yampa River Integrated Water Management Plan that was adopted in 2021. And again, I know Emily's here today and we'll likely hear more from her, but the idea is developing strategies that close the gap between current conditions that are observed and measured on the river and desired future conditions that were identified through a stakeholder process. And so there will be practitioner guidance and trainings available to participate in sometime late summer and early fall. So that is it for me, Michelle. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And next we have Ashley Dean, Senior Manager for Collaborative Initiatives.
Hi, everyone. Okay, back in action here. So as Michelle mentioned, I'm Ashley Dean, and I'm going to update you all on the Climate Action Plan Collaborative. So 2 big updates on that end. In line with the direction out of the Routt County Climate Action Plan, last fall, the CAP Collaborative Board approved the completion of a 2023 greenhouse gas inventory. This is a 5-year update from the last inventory that was completed in 2018. Lotus Engineering and Sustainability, who conducted the inventory in 2018, was contracted again to do the 2023 inventory. We're in the process of finalizing the results, but I can share a couple of key findings. Building energy use continues to be the majority of county emissions at 48%, and transportation remains the second largest contributor of emissions at 37%. In terms of trends we're seeing between 2018 and 2023 inventories, overall, there's been a 5% decrease in countywide emissions, and electricity emissions have decreased 28%. Both trends are primarily due to the addition of renewable energy capacity to the electric grid. Natural gas usage and emissions decreased 2%, while there was a large increase in propane use in the county. Vehicle miles traveled continues to be an area of improvement, as we saw a 26% increase in total VMT in the county. Finally, we saw a 1% increase in waste emissions, which now accounts for 9% of the county's emissions. Eagle, Pitkin, and Summit County also did 2023 greenhouse gas inventories, which will be helpful as we analyze and compare emissions. We'll plan on sharing out a more detailed report in the near future. In other big news, the CAP Collaborative is finally moving forward with our Colorado Energy Office Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. Last August, the CAP Collaborative was awarded $264,000 to conduct a building electrification and decarbonization plan, dashboard, and implementation. As other grants were on pause for a little while there, so was ours. The CAP board selected Noresco to complete phase 1 of the grant, which includes developing a building electrification and decarbonization plan and dashboard. Work is on track to begin July 1st and scheduled to complete at the end of October. Phases 2 and 3 of the grant will focus on plan implementation, education, outreach, and workforce capacity development. This work has been a priority recommendation to come out of the CAP Energy Working Group, so we are excited to see this important work begin. The CAP Collaborative has another piece of good news, but I'll let Camille, who's on the call from the Yampa Valley Community Foundation, to share that with you all shortly. And that's all I have for now.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Paul Boney, Energy and Transportation Director.
Good afternoon. It's good to see everybody. I haven't had a chance to give one of these updates in a while, so happy to be able to do that today. I'm going to keep my focus primarily on energy assessment, which has been a backbone program here at the Sustainability Council since before my time here 4 years ago. And this spring, we were very optimistic. We had some great wind in our sails. Atmos Energy, a shout out to them. They are now funding direct install measures for energy assessment participants, and that's through their clean heat program, and their demand side management program is managed by the Public Utility Commission. And then our energy assessment regional partner, Energy Smart Colorado, got a nice grant funding, and we were able to get rid of one of the, we think, biggest barriers we had to energy assessment, which was our pay first model, where folks would pay for the assessment and then apply for rebates behind the scene. So with some federal grant funding that was also delayed early in the spring, but cleared up, we were able to switch that to a small fee at the time of the assessment. So that happened in late March. We turned on our advertising and public relations that our team does such a great job on, and we built up like a 25-person list for assessments, which was more than we've done in the prior 2 years, and we were on track for our 50+ assessments for the year goal. And then, unfortunately, Connor Burns, who was my energy and programs manager, got a great opportunity with a new startup doing heat pumps. So he left in early March, and that kind of took the wind out of our sails, because Connor was our only energy assessor. So we were happy to see his advancement, but it kind of put us on a stop on the ability to actually get the work. But as fate would have it, we had been working with the executive director of the Northwest Colorado Council of Governments, also known as Northwest COG, and to do a pilot energize a beneficial program in Routt and Moffat counties. And we've been working with Northwest COG. They've been doing their own energy assessments for their own clients, which were ultra low income folks. They come in through a state funding to weatherize homes, and they have to do assessments before that. So with the help of Energy Smart Colorado, we were able to expand the discussion into having them, for the first time for any organization, provide energy assessments for us. So I'm happy to report that Northwest COG is now a stable energy assessment partner for the Yampa Valley Sustainability Council. And at the same time, they were awarded one of the first grants through the CAP board, the collaborative board, to actually do the pilot for the Energize program. So we got kind of a double win through that relationship. And I do want to back up for a second. YVA has also worked with Energy Smart Colorado to help us reformulate from that pay first, get grants afterwards formula. So now we have Northwest COG as a partner on two programs, energy assessments and this pilot weatherization program. And as Michelle mentioned last week, we completed a successful job search to fill that energy and transportation programs manager position and that Tad will start on July 21st. His first mission on the new job is to get his certification as an energy assessor. So this fall we'll be back fully locked and loaded and ready to do great assessment work and look for a nice announcement and publicity push to take advantage of all the resources we'll bring to bear in the fall. And just for a quick second, the reason we do energy assessments in the spring and the fall is because we need the outdoor air temperatures to be low enough for the thermal cameras to work. So we always have a spring push and then we have a fall push, and we don't do anything during the heat of the summer. So we would normally be on a hiatus now anyway. And then to kind of put a cherry on that cupcake, we have a summer intern, Andrew Williams, and he's working on a project that'll take the work that Connor and I have done in the past year. We've built a robust list of heat pump contractors, and we're going to bring together a program so we can connect our community members with installation contractors, because one of the biggest barriers we see to electrification has been folks want to electrify their homes and businesses, but they can't make the connection to get that work done. So we hope to have that barrier taken care of, and if we have a little bit of time, we're hoping to do some kind of a community meeting to announce a new program that'll show everybody how they can participate. And then, really exciting for me, there's a new company coming out of Craig, Colorado, High Altitude Geothermal. They're a coal family. So a dad, his sons, the mom and a daughter. The dad and the two sons are in the coal industry. One of them is a driller at the Kalawao mine. The dad works at the Trapper mine. And they have, over the last year and a half, decided that geothermal heat pumps and the loops in particular were a market niche that they could fill. So they have acquired their drill rig, their trucks, their trailers, their ancillary equipment, and they're hoping to get their last piece of equipment in early July. So finally, for the first time in 4 years, if someone is interested in a ground source heat pump, we have a local company that can do that backbone work of getting the loops in the ground. So that's been a long time coming, and watch for us. We're going to help promote their business when they get that last piece of equipment and they're ready to start putting holes in the ground. So that's very exciting. And then lastly, I'll pivot just quickly to transportation. We're working with the Routt County Built Environment Program Manager. Built Environment is basically streets and sidewalks to promote multimodal transportation. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about vehicle miles traveled and how that's gone up. So they're partnering with our Carbon Free Challenge this month. And through the Carbon Free Challenge, we've heard lots of people that are, trying to ride their bike to work for a month and whatnot, and safety and crosswalks and the ability to ride their bikes to and from where they want to go is there's barriers there. And now we've partnered with the county Built Environment Group so that they can start documenting those spots and then working ultimately to help make it a safer and more secure process to walk and bike to work. So that's what we've been up to for the last couple of months. It's always a pleasure to see you all. And as Michelle said, if you ever have any questions, reach out. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Paul. And next we have Caitlin Farkas, live from the depot.
Hello, Michelle, thank you for your introduction. My name is Caitlin Farkas. I am YVSC's new waste diversion coordinator. I began a little bit over a month ago, so still relatively new to this role, but very excited to be working in this capacity to advance diversion efforts forward in the region. I am at the depot today. That's one of my responsibilities. And so we are here from Wednesdays and Fridays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And just some update numbers on what we've collected so far this year and diverted from landfills. We have collected over 13,000 pounds of electronics, over 1,000 pounds of batteries, over 2,000 light bulbs, and have served over 500 customers thus far this year, which is great considering we had a little bit of a hiatus for the spring while we were transitioning staffing. So we've still been able to reach a lot of people and have had a lot of positive feedback from community members so far this year. Additionally, I have been working with city and county partners as well as waste working group partners from the CAP on various diversion efforts and projects. One exciting update on that front is we are exploring a potential drop site that could increase access to recycling for community members and expand the types of materials accepted. So we're still working on that, but really excited to see where that project could go in the future. Additionally, I've been supporting zero waste equipment rentals. So if that is something, as the summer is event season, if that is something anybody's interested in, feel free to reach out to me if we can support your diversion needs at your events this summer, as well as supporting different partners on education and outreach. And then finally, I was able to attend the Recycle Colorado conference in Grand Junction earlier this month, which was a great opportunity to gather some inspiration and explore new and exciting projects happening across the state when it comes to diversion and circularity. And it certainly left me with a lot of inspiration for projects going forward as I get more ingrained in my role here at YVSC.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And do we have Commissioner Macy's on? I know we were trying to weave in time.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, perfect. I didn't see you. So you're the guest. She's the guest. I am going to cue in Commissioner Macy's for some updates, given we're all always balancing time. So thank you, Commissioner, and I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll go back to YVSC staff.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. I got to go meet a carpool, folks, so I apologize for busting in the middle of the agenda. Wanted to just let you know that despite the relentless efforts of the federal government to undermine climate action and everything that we value, we remain steadfast in our efforts to fight them and also proactively continue with our projects here at Routt County. I made a few notes of some of the things I wanted to update you folks on, so I'm just pulling them up. Yeah, so we're really looking to advance the climate action plan, save our taxpayers money, and also improve safety in the community. So we're not going to give up on that. As you all know, we're trying to move forward on a solar project to get Routt County to be powered by renewable energy, working with Yampa Valley Electric. Unfortunately, we've had to scale back on the size of that system due to some feedback from a system impact study at YVEA, but we're still moving forward on the solar project. Thank you, Michelle, for talking about that grant opportunity for the Climate Accelerator thing. That is a very good opportunity that we intend to apply for. At the moment, we're deciding whether or not we would apply for something related to building decarbonization or potentially something related to the Regional Transportation Authority and looking at sort of fleet electrification type of things. So I see that Gail Gary's on the line. We're probably going to need to talk about that grant program. If you guys at the city are going to be going for that as well, we can work together on that. As far as the Regional Transportation Authority goes, which of course is something that is sort of noted in the Climate Action Plan as important, we are moving forward, and you may have seen some information in the newspaper that there's been discussions about going to the ballot in 2025 November to create a Regional Transportation Authority district. So that is basically the service territory and potentially the service territory at this point of the Regional Transportation Authority. So look for that in November. We're going to start our outreach efforts to talk a little bit more about what that means for the community and why it's important. Xcel Energy. Yay, we're in the middle of having a lot of fun with Xcel as they close down the coal-fired power plant in Hayden. I guess to put this in a very quick nutshell, we have submitted testimony that would ask them to make us whole in terms of property tax revenues that come from the Hayden station. and we have asked them to promote clean energy, specifically geothermal at that plant. They have come back with some very substandard offerings. However, they have agreed to negotiate with us outside of the proceeding on our request to acquire the rail spur at the Hayden Station, which is pretty promising for Mountain Rail. And then also we are interested in acquiring the put-in for the river right there at the pump house, and they have agreed to talk to us about that. It's kind of an interesting opportunity, but we're thick in the middle of it. If you haven't jumped on the YouTube and watched the PUC testimony on this case, it's actually pretty fascinating to hear about the impact of this. It's not just Hayden Station. Of course, this is a statewide just transition solicitation. So closures of power plants, trying to make communities whole, and we are in the middle of it. And it's exciting. We're hoping that we'll get a better situation than what they've offered us, which is really kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. And I'm thinking that what's on everybody's minds, or should be today, is this. This is the Lee Amendment to the big, beautiful bill. This is the one where we're going to sell our public lands for the opportunity to provide affordable housing. Affordable housing that's not actually defined except for at the discretion of the secretary. And we're going to put the money in the treasury, but then we're also going to put some money here and some money there. And there's pretty conflicting pieces of information about where this money's actually going. But if you haven't followed this situation, this is something that I learned about back in February at one of our public lands meetings at the National Association of Counties, and I've been updating some folks on it in different groups. What we heard over the February to May timeframe was that this was a proposal to dispose of BLM lands with certain characteristics adjacent to municipalities in order to provide affordable housing. So that's what we heard back in February. Then in May, and we heard at that time that there would have to be infrastructure available to support this housing. Then in May, we heard that there would not need to be infrastructure available. And we heard that there were additional characteristics of these lands that needed to be met, such as they needed to be within 5 miles of a municipality, such as they needed to have municipal infrastructure and a number of other things. What we're learning today is that all of that is questionably true. And what we have as a result is this Lee Amendment, which is being included in the big, beautiful bill. The intention is to dispose of a certain percentage of public lands of the BLM and Forest Service. And note that I'm saying and Forest Service with emphasis, because when we learned about this, it was allegedly just the BLM lands. And not that that makes it great, but you know, the BLM lands directly adjacent to the city are Emerald Mountain lands. And I don't know, hadn't talked to the city about that, but would they want some affordable housing over there? Who knows? So at any rate, now we're talking about BLM lands and Forest Service lands. So disposing of a certain percentage, starting 30 days after the bill is approved. And then every 60 days thereafter, we're going to be disposing of our public lands on a rolling basis. And within 5 years, we will have disposed of all of the public lands that are required to be disposed of in this act. So obviously, we're not happy about it as Routt County. We intend to weigh in because there are provisions in here that are just shameful. But I will say, you know, the Wilderness Society map that has come out identifying these lands, there was a map in the Denver Post news article. There's an interactive map on the Wilderness Society's webpage. And if you go to that and you search on Routt County, you're going to be terrified about all of the lands that are considered eligible, because it's essentially everything except for our wilderness areas. I will say that in analyzing the bill and looking at the eligibility criteria again, I actually don't think that the Forest Service lands that we have within our territory would be eligible. So, you know, I think I would say just take the map that is going around with a grain of salt as to whether or not all of those lands are actually eligible under the Lee Amendment. So working with some other county commissioners to figure out whether or not we're going to make a move on this at the state level or county level, or what are we going to do. But if anybody has questions or wants to talk about this, we're trying to get a statement out from Routt County. We are placing this on the agenda for Tuesday to pass a resolution in support of public lands. A number of other counties have already done that in the state. And we will be providing specific comments to both Senator Lee and the Energy Committee. So this one's a biggie. Good fun.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining, Commissioner, and for those important updates. And really appreciate you making time in your day for this. So great to have you.
Thank you. Running to my carpool.
Okay. I am going to also cue in Josh Hankus, Executive Director of Routt County Wildfire Mitigation Council, because he too is balancing some scheduling items. So Josh.
Yes, thank you. I was just finalizing some links into some notes, and I was going to drop them in the chat in case you didn't get to me, because I have very important updates, and I'll try to keep them brief. Let's see, we debuted our wildfire recovery the Routt County Long-Term Wildfire Recovery Playbook, which was authored by Haley Cunningham, our program manager here. And that was debuted in draft form at our spring stakeholder conference on April 16th. It is now available for public comment. So anybody that would like to have a look at it, check our work, make sure we didn't miss anything. You can find it on our website at routtwildfire.org. It's got its own special page. You can skip to the section that is most of interest to you, but we are going to button that up pretty soon and publish a final draft, which we'll be taking and putting in front of elected officials and campaigning for the formation of a long-term recovery group. So if that is of interest to you, please do go look, please do comment and let us know if we missed anything. And please do take a step forward when the opportunity to join a long-term recovery group presents itself, because it's super important and much easier to do now rather than in the wake or in the midst of a catastrophic wildfire. We're in the midst of our chipping program this summer. The next date will be in South Routt, and that'll be on July 18th. That'll be in Oak Creek. You can find that also on our website on the events section. We've got community outreach meetings coming in July. They're not on the website because we're still putting those details together. But I can tell you that we'll be in North Routt on July 21st, here in Steamboat on July 22nd, and down in South Routt on July 23rd. And we will have folks from the Wildfire Research Center attending those meetings and presenting on the findings from a study that we conducted in partnership with them over the last year and a half, with some really good and interesting data points around needs and attitudes and understandings around wildfire risk and the solutions available. Those findings inform some of our new programs that are new to us this year. The first one is we're offering home ignition zone evaluations. This is a one-on-one inspection, essentially, of a resident here in Routt County. We're doing these sort of in partnership with the fire districts. They don't really have the capacity and haven't historically had the capacity to do these en masse. So we developed a program and have secured a subscription to a software package called FireAside, which streamlines the efficiency incredibly, cuts the amount of time down required for the evaluation, and presents the homeowner or the resident or the owner of the building with a digital report that they can log on. They can see what the action items are. They can resolve those items as time passes and upload photos to say, hey, you told us that this vegetation along the east edge of our home was no good. We've since removed it. Here's a photo. I can sit at my desk and resolve that and change the scoring on those reports. So a really neat program. Michelle, we'd be happy to come and provide one for the new office space when you're ready for us. And you can then think about how to reduce those vulnerabilities around your structure there. And we've got a CMC intern helping us with these this year. So this is also a first for us. So thanks to Cody, Dakota Dillon, who I see on screen, for helping us put the pieces together for that internship. Another program that's new is reflective address signs. Our study with the Wildfire Research Center found that we're about 98% non-compliant here in Routt County. So if you don't have an address sign that is non-combustible and reflective and has good contrast, then first responders would have a tough time finding you, especially if we've got cell service down and Google Maps and things like that aren't working. So you can find signups for both of those programs on our website. And then the other one I want to touch on is we have a rebate program where residents can get up to $300 to help them with one of 3 or a series of 3 key mitigation projects around residents. And that is just about it for me. The last thing I'll say is on July 30th, there's an author talk at the library with John Valent, who wrote a book called Fire Weather. It is an excellent book. I read it about 1.5 years ago, and I'm going to start it again because the first time I read it, I found myself thinking that I should be taking notes and kind of stumbling. And then I said, forget it, just read the book and enjoy it. And that is my advice to all of you. And then go read it a second time and take notes. So that's it. I do have to run. I have a hazard mitigation plan meeting with some government folks. And thank you for having me. And nice to see you all.
Great. Thank you so much, Josh, for those updates. Next, we will go to Sally Karibu, who is going to share updates on Garden in a Box.
Hello, thank you so much. I just wanted to give you some updates about our water conservation education program that we have in collaboration with the City of Steamboat Springs and the Mount Werner Water District. And it is called Garden in the Box, and it's an inaugural year here on the Western Slope. It has been around for 21 years on the Front Range. And so we're excited to bring it to this side of the divide. They're water-wise kits full of different curated plants for elevation and aspect and the different areas that you have. And so we just came off a big week of our first Garden in the Box pickup event, which was last Tuesday, and we had 189 kits sold to 109 different customers. So that we considered a huge success. And everybody was just really happy with the ease and quality of the plants. And so today starts the second sale. So there's 2 sales per summer, one in the spring, one in the summer. So today starts the next sale. We have $25 discounts. So you can get on resourcecentral.org and order your Garden in the Box. And those will be available for pickup in August. And we also had some demonstration events after the pickup event. So we had a Botanic Park planting event and another demonstration event at the Craig Senior Center yesterday. So trying to just get the word out about Garden in the Box. And so, yeah, sale starts today.
Great. Thank you so much, Sally. And you can watch the process here at 602 Oak as well. I'll say Sally has been digging turf. So it's a really great program. And Jill, it's great to hear that you got yours. I've got some. It's a really special program. So last but not least, it's my pleasure to introduce Dakota Dolan, who is going to introduce you to our interns. And so Dakota Dolan is our Resilient Forest Projects Manager.
Thanks so much, Michelle. I'll start quickly with an update from our forest resilience projects by mentioning that our regeneration survey volunteer days are officially starting this Friday, June 20th, and will run on a weekly basis through the fall. And the data collected serves as a critical step in recovering burned areas, and it allows us to identify the most vulnerable sites at risk of not regrowing naturally. And this helps us plan for future projects. So this summer we'll be focused on the Morgan Creek Fire, which is in the Zirkle Wilderness area, and the Muddy Slide Fire in South Routt. As we all know, our Forest Service partners are far below capacity right now, so I just want to really reiterate the importance of taking action and helping with this effort to make sure stewardship of our forests continues despite these roadblocks. So if you're interested or would like more information, you can contact me and I'll include relevant links in the chat. And now to pivot quickly to YVSC's internship program, we are excited to welcome 5 exceptional young professionals to the summer internship. This 12-week program began at the end of May and brings interns into contact with YVSC staff, engaging them in our programs addressing sustainability issues in the Yampa Valley, while also providing them with professional training and on-the-ground experience in nonprofit work. Using a project-based approach, interns apply what they learn through the program to contribute to or develop a meaningful project within the community. So I will have the interns that were able to join the call give their own self-introductions. So we'll start with Shay and Sloan, because I know they are sharing a computer. So you two can decide who'd like to go first.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shay Spear. I'm the Forest Resilience intern at YVSC. So I get to work with Cody on the weekly regeneration surveys, and then also analyze data from past years to look at demonstrating patterns of regeneration in burned areas. And then I'm hoping to illustrate a picture book about the reforestation pipeline. And I'm a rising senior at the Steamboat Springs High School and a dual enrollment student at Colorado Mountain College. So yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
And I'm Sloan. I'm Shay's older sister. I'm currently attending college in California, back for the summer. I grew up here, we both did. I'm working with Kate Bricotto and Jill Bergman, doing a lot of work surrounding the Art for Climate Action event that'll be next spring. I'm hosting artist engagement events and also working on a magazine that will honor art that has been done in the past. So yeah, so excited to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you too. And then lastly, I'll just have Luke Bedell jump on and introduce himself quickly.
Yeah, so I'm Luke. I'm the Resilient Land and Water Management intern for YVSC. Specifically, I work with Ryan to help contact different ranchers that might have different conflicts with beavers on their property. And we try to find ways that they can solve those solutions or come up with solutions that are non-lethal for the beavers. I'm a Steamboat native. I was born here. I grew up here, and I am also a rising senior at Steamboat Springs High School.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Luke. And we are thrilled to witness the progress of these interns. Not on the call is also Andrew Williams and Morgan Selden, so 5 total. And I just want to mention that their closeout presentations will be held on Friday, August 8th from 12 to 3. The location is yet to be determined, but mark your calendars. It's open to the public, so please feel free to join if you're available. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Cody. And thank you, Shay and Sloan and Luke. It's such a pleasure to have you. And I think all of us feel inspired when we see rising young leaders and stepping into the world. So we're excited. Everyone, please do come to the final presentations. They are awesome. So we will kick back out to our partner updates. Thank you for allowing us to skip here and there. And then always for all of you to know, as you manage your own schedules, just send me a note if you need a specific time slot. Happy to do that. So it's my pleasure first to introduce Gail Gary, Council President with City of Steamboat Springs City Council.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always such a pleasure to be able to join you all to hear the amazing projects and updates that are happening to bring us all toward our shared goal. Certainly, I'm also always inspired by the interns and the work that they are doing. And I also have my garden in the box. And really excited about that. Still in the process of planting, but the plants look great and love the plant by number for somebody like myself. So it really does work. So just a little plug for that. Just a couple of updates from the city side. In alignment with the greenhouse gas reduction targets, as well as with the strategies that are set forth in the climate action plan, the city's facility team has conducted a facilities condition assessment, which resulted in a decarbonization roadmap. Basically, the process began with a facilities master plan that included looking at each one of the city's buildings to determine the building's conditions, along with what the city's future space needs would be. And part of the assessment also included analyzing the condition of the current HVAC systems, looking at the current energy footprint of the building, as well as which one of the facilities lend themselves to solar panels or possible ground source, heat pumps. So doing kind of a all-in-one assessment. When looking at the kind of various different aspects of this, as well as looking at the decarbonization roadmap, the plan also set forth some guiding principles, which I thought you might be interested in. One is, we want to lead by example. We want to provide the greatest value for the least cost. We want to be fiscally responsible, so not replace equipment until it's worn out. And then also really looking at trying to enhance the Steamboat brand, our tourism brand, looking at kind of, the green tourism. The next step for council will be to adopt the decarbonization roadmap via a resolution. So that really just gives the facilities team kind of that green light to move forward on the various different recommendations. That's, in line with one of the City Council's primary goal, which is to operationalize the climate action plan, so that it's just something that we do as we move forward. I will point out that that is coming before council on July 15th. That'll come in the form of a resolution. So know that that's something that is being taken action on by the City Council in terms of officially adopting that decarbonization roadmap, which, as I said, I think is really important because it just sends a green light and a message that we as a city are serious about moving forward on those goals and are looking for every opportunity that we can to make sure that we're in alignment with the climate action plan and doing our part, right, to reach the greenhouse gas reduction goals. So it's a 2-for-1 on July 15th. Also on that night, we will be hearing an update from the consultants who are looking at pay-as-you-throw, as well as single hauler licensing when it comes to trash and recycling pickup. Earlier in the year, council directed staff to go ahead and look at pay-as-you-throw or volume-based pricing and what are the benefits, how would that roll out in our community, and at the same time, given that Apex has now taken over or purchased waste management as well as the Twin Enviro hauling services, we really primarily have one predominant hauler. I mean, there is a second hauler, SRC, which is out there, but as we look at having one hauler, there are options from a city perspective in terms of what can be done in terms of making sure that we are providing kind of the best service for the citizens of the community at the best cost. So we'll be getting more input from the consultants on that July 15th meeting in terms of how we want to proceed. When we talk about single hauler, that can come in various different forms. It could mean that you have kind of one hauler for the entire community. You could also look at it from the perspective of maybe you have a downtown district, right? You have a mountain district, maybe, Fairview, or breaking the city up kind of in different types of districts. And perhaps there would be other haulers that would be interested in bidding on those different districts. So more to come on that. And, I think that will also help from kind of the perspective of recycling and making sure that we're having consistency in terms of what types of plastics are being collected, various different things that will and can be considered in that. I also wanted to, underscore what Commissioner Macy said about the Big Beautiful Bill and, kind of the possible impact that it does have on Routt County. At last night's council meeting, we also made a decision to send letters to the congressional delegation. Obviously, I think everybody knows that we have very strong congressional delegation here in Colorado that's, supports public land, supports our Forest Service. And so just sending letters to basically support their efforts to do what they can to make sure that our, the public lands that are also important to us are protected. And then finally, good news also in terms of mountain rail. The city was just granted $100,000 from the Department of Local Affairs to look at potential sites for a depot here in the city. There are certain requirements that kind of physically that have to be done in terms of having a site, right? I think kind of 1,000 feet that are available for a platform, but there are also then some financial incentives that are possible if you combine the stop or the depot with housing, with retail, and all sorts of different things like that. So that'll, I think, be a good step in the right direction for us in terms of looking at what sites are out there, and then kicking off the community engagement process as well, in terms of where would people, in terms of what the sites are, where does that, fit in terms of the community's desires. So with that, I just want to again say thank you for giving me this opportunity to give you an update, and just know that I am always available if you ever have questions or about anything that's coming before council, sustainability related or not. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you so much for your wonderful service and those great updates. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Laura Sword, Marketing Director with Steamboat Chamber.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to chat. I'll talk some high level destination development updates for you. I'm the Destination Development Marketing and Communications Director for the Chamber. So we are ramping up our summer tourism season, and really what we're looking to do this June and July is really elevate our Do Steamboat Springs Right campaign. So that is the messaging campaign that we are providing. We've partnered with the Colorado Tourism Office to extend the Do Colorado Right messaging. And that is a long-term campaign that's really talking to in-state residents as well as out-of-state visitors on really how to get the most of your Colorado vacation while being good stewards of the place that you visit. So some of the things that we are doing this month and next month is really focusing on 3 main messaging points. And this comes from our destination stewardship plan that we started last year. We're in our first full year of, and then some of the resident sentiment surveys we've done. So what residents have told me, the 3 things that we're working on is car-free travel to help mitigate traffic, keep wildlife wild, being responsible and respectful of wildlife. And then the 3rd thing is trash the trash. So for a lot of those, we've had some messaging campaigns, as well as we have some activations. When we partnered with Expedia and the tourism office, we placed 1,000 bags in hotel rooms and condos that I have one. They say Do Steamboat Springs Right on them. So if you haven't seen them, they're around town. And in the bags, we have reusable water bottles as well as some biodegradable bags, so people can pick up trash. And if they do, they can bring it into the visitor center and we will give them a free hat. And we've got a couple other incentives as well. So we're really trying to not just provide messaging to visitors, but also tools to help them be better stewards of Steamboat Springs. So those are really the big things that we're doing. We also will be at the farmers market a couple times this summer. So that's a great way to engage with both residents and then also the visitors that are here. So that's a good opportunity for us. And beyond that, Do Steamboat Springs Right kind of being good stewards messaging, we're evolving that campaign into more cultural heritage. We'll do some videos and outreach on arts and culture events like the rodeo and the farmers market, especially focusing on how to get there, where to park, really what to do. So kind of these step-by-step tools for visitors to be, again, better stewards of where they're at. So those are the big things we're working on with our visitors. And then we will do a fall promotional campaign. From now until maybe August, we're really just talking to the people that are already here. So working on just maintaining what we have and then promotional in the fall. So from the chamber business side of things, just a couple updates there. This afternoon, we have our first kind of big summer outdoor mixer. We are partnering with the Botanic Gardens, and we're going to have a summer showcase there. So I invite everybody to come. It's a great event. It's a really nice venue, obviously being out at the gardens. We'll have live music, and it's a good opportunity to just chat with local businesses, and it's a good mixer opportunity. So, and then we also have our Empower Yampa Valley Conference. That's on July 31st, and that is our progressive business conference, cultural workplace. We have kind of like an HR track, and then we also have a new kind of marketing and communications track, and that's great for any size business that's looking to learn some more from both local experts, as well as we're bringing in some people from out of town to do that. So that's July 31st. And then finally, I will mention the July 4th parade is coming up. So July 4th is coming up. It will be here before we know it, and the chamber organizes the parade. So if your business or anyone else wants to have a float registration is open. And also be very aware of traffic impacts for the parade. So I know we all know it comes every year, but it still somehow surprises us that it closes the road down. So just be aware that's happening. The city will do a press release soon on what those impacts are and what roads will be impacted and timing and all of that. But I just want to put that out there so that we know it's coming up soon. So that is what I have from the chamber. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. Next, we have Jill Henwood, Executive Director with Yampa Valley Partnership for Students, Sustainability and Stewardship, or YVPS3.
Thanks, Michelle. Yes, as Michelle said, I'm Jill Henwood with the Yampa Valley Partnership for Student Stewardship and Sustainability. We're an organization that works with our local school districts, Sirocco, Hayden, Steamboat Springs, as well as Moffat County, and Colorado Mountain College and CNCC to develop career-connected pathways for students. One of our current strategic priorities is to increase work-based learning opportunities for students across the region. This includes everything from industry partners on career panels and career fairs to site visits, all the way up to mentorships or even internships for students. But we are working to build out a shared platform that can be used by industries and students as well as the schools, so that all students in the area have the opportunity to connect with quality work-based learning experiences and quality involvement with industry partners. So our current funding prioritizes the career pathways in healthcare, agriculture, and natural resources and construction, as well as any career that focuses on or utilizes green skills, or is in the green space. So obviously all the discussions going on here and all the work being done here really fits into what we are hoping to help connect students with. So industry partners, when we talk about work-based learning and having industry partners, can be anything from individuals to businesses, organizations, whether they be governmental organizations, counties, cities, nonprofits. But those are we're looking for entities to come join us in working with young people. One of our goals is to make it easier for industry partners to get involved in building a talent pipeline. Listening to all the work that's being done just here in this conversation, I would love to be able to get all of you interested and connect with you about ways that you could be an industry partner, either just being available to come in and talk for an hour to a class, potentially hosting students for shadowing or working as a mentor for a student, all the way, like I said, to internships or projects that are driven by industry partners that students and teachers can help maybe solve problems or issues that you're working on. But we're working on developing common systems and processes, so it's actually easier for you to get involved with students in schools. I was fortunate to be able to sit on the interviews for the high school interns for the YVSC this summer, as we are sort of a collaborator with them, hosting Luke Bedell, who's one of the high school interns here. But I was amazed at, and I continue to be amazed by the young people, and the skills they bring, the maturity they bring, and the insight. And also additionally, especially in the ones we interviewed, just the interest in sustainability, the environment, and how to make this world actually, make it a better environment as they grow up. But that being said, I want you to know that getting involved as an industry partner is an opportunity to work with incredible young people that are that are the future of our community and could possibly be your next star employee. So I'd like to invite any of you that might be interested to learn more about different ways that you might be able to get engaged to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat. And please pass along if you know others in the community that might be interested in getting involved with our young people. please have them reach out to me as well. But we're just building up this platform and hopefully building up a really robust system for connecting youth to quality careers in the region. So thank you, Michelle, for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much for joining, Jill. Next, we have Camille Sachs, Grant Making Manager at Yampa Valley Community Foundation.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Michelle. A couple quick updates from us. One was kind of hinted at earlier by Ashley and Paul. The Routt County Climate Action Collaborative Fund, which is a fund held at the Yampa Valley Community Foundation, had its first grant cycle this year. Applications closed in April, and in May, $50,000 was granted out to 4 awardees, including book trails for a solar array, Strings Music Festival for their Stage Light Transition Project, Routt County Riders for their Bike Match Program, and then the Northwest Colorado Council on Government, which is the organization that Paul was speaking about earlier, for their Re-Energize Route project, which is a home weatherization project that they're piloting here. So that was really exciting. It's the first time that fund has granted out. It's a new fund here, and it is not an endowed fund. So it is a fund that we are continuing to fundraise into. So if it's something that you think donors might be interested in giving to, please feel free to direct them to us, and we can kind of give them an overview of that fund and what it aims to do. But it's designed to support any projects in Routt County that reduce greenhouse gas emissions or support the implementation of the CAP. So it's great, and it's good to see the money getting out quickly, and that's part of the reason why it's not endowed. So really trying to build excitement around that and bring more dollars in with some of these projects that are happening now. Other update is our Yampa River Fund, which is an endowment fund, had their largest granting period ever this year. They granted out $278,945 to 7 projects. That's the most projects they've ever awarded, and the highest dollar value. So those went out last month as well. And those are all for projects to support Yampa River health and stewardship. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Camille. Next, we have Emily Burke, Conservation Program Manager with Friends of the Yampa.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everybody. I was going to start with some Yampa River Fund updates since Footy is the managing entity. So just to tack on to Camille's update about the River Fund. Yes, 7 projects were funded. A variety of projects from flow releases from Stagecoach to restoration projects that will add riparian shade, preserve wet meadows, evaluate reconnecting the river to its floodplain, and mitigate beaver conflicts. There was also funding for some critical infrastructure for water delivery systems and irrigation. And most of the funding was highly leveraged with other funding sources. So it was great to see the year's larger funding pot have such wide-ranging impacts. The Yampa Ripple Effect program, which is a program that attempts to raise some funds for the Yampa River Fund. We're continuing to add new partners, and we had a great fundraising event last Saturday at Ace Hardware. They had the Ripple Effect Roundup option at checkout running the first half of June. And then the last Yampa River Fund update I'll share is that in the last year, we've talked to 2 other groups that are interested in setting up river funds of their own, similar to the Yampa River Fund. So others are definitely recognizing the success we've had. There's a group in the Poudre and one for Eagle River that are interested. Speaking of the Yampa Valley Community Foundation, the endowment there has exceeded $6 million for the River Fund and is functioning as intended by providing over $200,000 each year in grants. Jayla, thank you for providing an update on the Yampa Valley Beaver Working Group and on the Yampa River Stewardship Program, or YSTU. So I will skip those just in the interest of time. Other updates from Friends of the Yampa include we're excited to announce the grand opening of our Yampa River Center. So we invite everybody to join us on June 25th. That's a week from today, next Wednesday evening from 4 to 7 p.m. Here at 743 Oak Street. We'll have free food from Meat Bar, assorted drinks, live Ohana printing, and just conversations about all things river.
Programmatically, our Yampa River Scorecard project, scorecard for the upper Yampa segment was recently released. The upper Yampa scored a C+. Areas that scored well include water quality, structural complexity, and channel morphology, while riverscape connectivity and riparian buffers are opportunity areas for improvement. Let's see. Last month, we launched our Riverwatch program, which is part of a statewide citizen science water quality monitoring project. 6 volunteer teams were trained throughout the basin, and they're now collecting water quality data on a monthly basis at their adopted site. So 6 sites running from Phippsburg down to Maybell. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that we've partnered with CPW to get some gear cleaning stations designed to minimize the spread of aquatic invasive species like zebra mussels and New Zealand mud snails. These stations are in the process of being installed at popular put-ins throughout the basin. The station at River Creek Park was installed last week, thanks to the City of Steamboat. And then we are going to be installing one at Hayden Pump Station and at Yampa River State Park very soon. We're also putting a specialized wader cleaning station at the Stagecoach Tailwaters later this week. Though a reminder that the Tailwaters is currently closed to fishing due to low flows, but hopefully it opens soon. So please be sure to utilize these gear cleaning stations next time you recreate on the Yampa. That's all I have on the Friends of the Yampa front. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. Next, we have Mike Beyer, Energy Resources Specialist with Yampa Valley Electric Association.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for including YVEA today. First and foremost, the YVA annual meeting is June 25th at 3 o'clock here at our Steamboat Springs headquarters, so mark your calendar for that. The Operation Roundup Spring Grant Cycle Awards will be selected this Friday, June 20th. Notifications will be sent out to all applicants, whether they were funded or not, the week of the 23rd. We are currently finishing up the first stage of our report on our in-house air source cold climate heat pump study that's been ongoing for quite some time. We do realize that we found some things with that study that have made us want to do another year. So it will be stage 1, and then we'll do stage 2 next year. We're also exploring options for replacing the level 3 charger that Yampa Valley Electric owns down in Yampa, Colorado. It's a slower level 3 charger. It's also has had some communications and other challenges. So we're actively looking for a replacement option. We did also just submit a Charge Ahead Colorado grant to possibly help us there. Finally, the National Weather Service has been issuing off and on wildfire red flag warnings in Eagle, Moffett, and Routt counties. When they do that, Yampa Valley Electric we place our grid into fire protection mode. Not to bore you with all the details on that, I added a link in the chat for those of you that want to understand more on how that works. But our system does operate differently, thus it can have longer outage times, etc., in an order of preventing fires. So that is all that I had today. Thank you again for including us, and hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. Next, we have Matt Smith, Headwaters of the Colorado Initiative Watershed Manager with Western Landowners Alliance.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks, Michelle, for looping me into this meeting to give you guys a quick update about the Headwaters of Colorado Initiative. And for those who don't know, that is a collaborative group that encompasses 2 million acres west of Steamboat and up into Wyoming, with over 45 partners, federal agencies, state agencies, NGOs, nonprofits, YVSC being one of our favorite partners. So some of you were at the stakeholder meeting last month in Hayden, which was pretty informative. And since then, we've actually hired a consultant to take care of our wildfire ready action plan, JW Associates, who actually took care of the Bear River wrap that the folks at the Upper Yampa Valley basically the South Route folks have used in their wrap as well. So we're really excited to partner with them and get going on this wrap, which according to the Colorado Water Conservation Board will be Colorado's biggest wrap to date, and will include pieces in Wyoming. So that's really exciting. Additional things to update everybody on is we're still waiting on some bucket 2E funds that we're strategizing on how to administer once those do come through, if they come through. And part of that piece is consulting with some of the regional foresters in the Rocky Mountains and finding out who those people are going to be. So we're trying to keep our eye on the ball with those funds, which are up to about $50 million for projects on the ground in Wyoming and Colorado. So our fingers are crossed for that. An additional update is that we're trying to diversify our funding as a group. Coca-Cola has expressed interest in funding some interesting projects that we are going to present to them, both on the Wyoming side in the Little Snake watershed and also in Routt County and Moffett County. And so we're kind of strategizing on how we're going to approach a company like Coca-Cola and how that relationship might look going forward, because a big goal of ours now is to diversify our funding sources out of the public and into the private sector. And other news I could probably inform this group on is we're likely going to have a tour in September, likely around the Bears Ears area, the upper Elkhead Creek in particular. There's a lot of interesting work happening there, both under federal agency coordination and also with nonprofits in California Park. And everyone in this group will be invited, and I'll likely be putting out a newsletter sometime midsummer that informs everybody about that information. And I'll put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out and understand more about what the HOC is and what we're up to, and if you'd like to get involved. So thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. And last but not least, we have Sarah, I'm sorry, Boerger, but I have not had a chance to pronounce your last name yet, the new development director at Yampa. So Sarah, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a crazy computer problem today. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to meet you guys. I started with Yampa last fall, so I've heard many of the names, but it's lovely to just be here in person. So I'm just going to give a quick update on what is happening over at Yampa. We are deep in summer camp and it's going great. We're in our second week of our summer camp for kiddos 5 to 11. Our first week of our 5 weeks of backpacking camp starts next week. And that's for our kids 12 to 14. They'll be doing backpacking trips in the Medicine Bow Route National Forest and Rocky Mountain National Park. And the goals of that program is really to develop those outdoor skills, positive youth development, and leadership skills within that age group. So we're really excited to be kicking that off, kind of a reintroduction of that. And we have 5 weeks of that this summer. We do have our Friends of the Yampa Partnership, where they're taking our 9 to 11-year-old campers out on a day of rafting, and then we'll take their campers out for a day of like river and riparian health education as well. So that partnership is continuing through the summer with our campers ages 9 to 11. Our adult programs is in full swing. We are offering our regular annual programming, which Mineral Springs, Wildflower Wanders, Yampa River Walk. We have a couple great new offers this summer, which includes tours at Stagecoach, Pika Patrol, which is a community science program aimed at tracking the pika habitat and their behaviors to determine the impacts of changing climates on their conditions on the habitat. Ultimately, our goal is to get the community members engaged to collect the data, and then they share that with the Forest Service and the ski resort. And we really want to thank Ski House. They actually have provided us an all-wheel drive vehicle that we can use to facilitate those tours. So that was a amazing offer from them that is allowing us to make sure that we can continue to do this. Our vans are in use with those kids programs right now. So that was a really great partnership. They came in clutch with that. And a little bit of an update from the school year. Oh, actually, the other thing going on right now is our out of school programs. So we're doing the storm drain painting. We have programs with Rocky Mountain Youth Corps and Boys and Girls Club. We have programming with the town of Oak Creek as well happening, and Partners for Youth with a focus on water education and service learning. We also have just kicked off an internship program. We're continuing to do the interpretation booth at Fish Creek Falls, and we have shifted that into an internship program. We have 4 interns that will be facilitating that interpretation booth under the mentorship of Haley Choctaw, our adult and programs community programs manager. We have 2 of which are CMC students. One is a high school student from Steamboat Springs School District, and the 4th is a recent graduate of CMC. So we're really excited to kick that program off, and we'll be doing some end of season reflection presentations as well in that partnership with CMC also. So that is exciting for us. And then just a little bit of a recap of our school year closeout. We did interact, we had 11,000 interactions with students this year, and some of those were duplicated. So we actually saw 3,579 students in our 4 county region, majority of those being in Routt and Moffat, but we're continuing to grow that Rio Blanco and Jackson County areas as well. So really successful year in the school programs. Yeah, that's our update for now. Thank you guys so much. Please reach out to me. I'm excited to get to know you all more individually and have coffee or whatnot. So thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure, Michelle, and I appreciate getting the time to give you the update.
Thank you so much for joining, Sarah. It's such a pleasure to meet you. So that concludes our structured updates. We always have time at the end for any public comment. Before we transition, and if people want to think about making public comments, I will just say I think that we're thinking of shifting these to a hybrid format. So maybe making use of that fabulous community room in the new Human Services building at Routt County. They have really nice hybrid capability as well. So for those where it's easier to join in a virtual means that during the workday or otherwise travel, you can continue to do that. And then for others that are interested in joining in person, we'll have the ability to do both. So watch for information about those. And at this time, I'll transition us to public comment if anyone has any public comments. Okay, hearing none. I just want to thank you all so much for joining. Happy June. It's such a pleasure to be in touch with all of you, and thank you so much for all that you do. And I think we all really recognize the great asset that we have in one another and our readiness to collaborate with one another, reach out and connect to really scale impact and build impactful programs and initiatives that benefit the region we serve. So thank you all for all you do. Hopefully your cups are more full as you leave the meeting, and we'll see all of each other around the community. So have a wonderful month.